I co-ran a studio for close to 2 years that focused on delivering group HIIT classes. I used to think HIIT was king. When you think of fat loss, you probably think of HIIT. That's high intensity interval training because of its intensity and the way it's been marketed to you. You do burn more calories per minute doing HIIT, but that's not the full picture. By the end of this video, you'll understand why HIIT is not your best option for fat loss and what you should do instead. Let's get right into it. I used to think that if I want to look like a sprinter, I should train like a sprinter. Sprinters do HIIT training, right? Wrong. Sprinters actually do a all-out sprint for like 10 seconds or under, and then they'll rest for like close to 5 minutes. So it's not HIIT at all. Also, sprinters will do resistance training and they will have a great diet, and also they likely have good genetics and most of the time a helping hand.
For a long time, I know what you need, in my best American accent. And he said, you need pharmacology. I said, what's pharmacology? And at this time, I didn't have a dictionary to read out what pharmacology was. I don't know. Goes, look, go and talk to them athletes over there. They'll tell you the deal. And come back to me when you're ready.
HIIT can be seen in many forms, but generally speaking, it's a period of close to or max effort followed by a period of much less effort, and that's repeated for rounds. Let me give you an example. Take the exercise bike. A common practice would be to do 30 seconds on close to max effort, followed by 30 seconds like active recovery, like a much lower effort, and that would be repeated for 15 rounds, and that would take up 15 minutes. 15 minutes of this, like high intensity interval training, this HIIT will burn more calories than doing 15 minutes of like say steady state cycling. But then if you were to take 30 minutes of steady state cycling, you'll likely burn more calories. So per like minute of time, you're gonna burn more calories doing HIIT. So if you're short on time, you could argue that you're better off doing HIIT, but it's not as simple as that, and I'm gonna get into why shortly. But Adam, what about the afterburn effect? I thought you would never ask. This is known as EPOC. This is excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. Basically the amount of oxygen required by your body to return it to normal. This can last anywhere between 12 and 24 hours. And generally speaking, you'll burn around 6 to 15% of the calories you burnt during that HIIT session. And long term, this won't make much of a difference. It's worth mentioning that 3 studies found that participants burned the same amount of calories in the hours after their interval training when compared with a steady state cardio. To be fair, the steady state cardio was a lot longer in duration. We had a 30 minute, a 50 minute, and a 60-minute session of steady state cardio versus a 20 minutes of interval training. Just to give a balance view, let's look at another study where they matched it for time. So they compared 45 minutes of interval training with 45 minutes of steady state cardio. They found that the EPOC in the interval training group was an extra 12 calories burned per hour. But that kind of defeats the whole object of interval training because it's meant to be a time-saving method. You're not going to do interval training for 45 minutes. Just to top it off, a 2021 systematic review and meta-analysis is basically the study of studies, looked at a steady state group versus an interval group and compared their body composition changes over time. They found no real difference in fat loss between the two groups. So as you can see by everything I went over in this video, HIIT is not necessary. But why shouldn't you do HIIT? I'm going to get into that shortly after just saying the fact that you can still do HIIT if you're looking to maximize like your endurance, or you're playing a sport like football, rugby, MMA. You don't play MMA, but you know what I mean. Or doing like boxing or some sort of stop-start sport where you want to maximize your fitness. But that's a different story. We're talking about fat loss. HIIT can increase your chance of injury, which is obviously not good. You don't want to be sidelined with an injury, and also can significantly impact your recoveries, as it's way harder on your joints and your muscles, your overall body, especially if you're doing like hill sprints or something similar to that, which can impact your progression in the gym and potentially impact your muscle growth in the long term as well. I haven't looked at much long-term data, but some people do suggest that it can impact it. And my own personal experience when I was doing HIIT, I progressed far slower in the gym. Remember, you want to maximize the amount of muscle you build while you're losing fat. So you need to preserve that. So instead, I recommend doing more low impact cardio. Like basically you can walk, just walking outdoors is perfect. If you can't really walk outdoors or you don't walk outdoors enough, then you can do rowing in the gym. You can walk on a treadmill in the gym on an incline. You can do a Stairmaster, exercise bike, just for 20 to 30 minutes, maybe 2 to 3 times a week. With the walking, I actually recommend you doing it every day, especially if you can get out and do it. And treadmill walks after every session is something you can do. You can do rowing after maybe 2 sessions a week. If you're starting to think like, maybe I should, do some cardio. That would be enough cardio. You don't have to do HIIT, and I actually suggest not doing HIIT. But if you really love doing HIIT and you feel like it helps you stick to your routine, then yeah, by all means continue to do HIIT. But just remember what I said about recovery, and I would stick to max 1 to 2 sessions of HIIT a week. Anyway, that's all for this video. If you like this video, give it a massive thumbs up. Click that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that bell notification to be alerted as soon as I post a video in the future. If you want to find out more about building muscle and losing fat, head on over to Facebook and join my free Facebook group, which has a ton of unique and exclusive resources. Until the next video, keep pushing your limits.